Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a killer concept for you all. This killer has been highly requested for DBD ever since his debut in Stranger Things Season 4. If you somehow don't know who I'm referring to, that of course is Number 1, aka Vecna. When developing killer concepts in DBD, I've always been curious about how behavior goes about adapting the licensed characters into the game. What elements behavior chooses to use and which elements they choose to omit. In the case of a character like the Xenomorph, DBD was able to incorporate many elements that are iconic traits of the alien character and the film franchise as a whole. Being able to enter vents for mobility, having their blade-like tail as a weapon, the crawling mode, and of course the flamethrowers / turrets, which I think are inspired by the second film. It all flows so well into DBD and adapts many iconic elements into the game's mechanics. For Vecna's case, I originally aimed to use all his different abilities and tried to squeeze them into this one concept. My first draft of this design saw Vecna being able to abduct survivors into his mindscape, similar to the Void from the Halloween event. Survivors would have to find Walkman and escape the mindscape, and Vecna could use his telekinetic abilities, and, well, it was just way too complicated. It would almost be like playing a different game at that point. Instead, I tried to look for more inspiration in killers like Wesker, a character who could grab missiles out of the air, use different weapons, and run at incredible speeds. When they announced Wesker, I really didn't know what to expect, and what we ended up getting was fairly simple, yet extremely fun to use. A double dash ability capable of grabbing and throwing survivors, as well as an infection mechanic. My design for Vecna follows this philosophy for the character design, simple and clean. In this concept, I have incorporated two elements of Vecna's character. Firstly, his telekinesis, his main power, and a more passive ability called Vecna's Curse. Just like my Springtrap videos, any and all numbers or durations should be viewed as just suggestions, and I would love to hear how you would adjust these numbers in the comments. So with that out of the way, let's begin. This new killer is called the Orderly. The Orderly is a tall killer with a movement speed of 4.6 and a terror radius of 32 meters. Telekinetic Blast. Pressing and holding the active ability button will have Vecna aim his left hand out in front of him. A gust of energy rushes forward. The visual looks similar to the Doctor's shock therapy. This attack lacks collision, meaning it'll travel through walls and obstacles. When a telekinetic blast hits a survivor, that survivor will be forcibly pushed. Just as the attack hits the survivor, Vecna can move the camera or mouse to influence the direction at which the survivor is propelled. Additionally, Vecna's own momentum, or the direction he is moving in, will also affect the direction that a survivor is propelled. Survivors can of course try to counter this by moving in a more favorable direction. Directional influence is what I'd call this if any of you have played Super Smash Bros. In a loop where a survivor needs to tightly hug the structure to reach a pallet or window, Vecna can strategically disrupt their pathing, causing them to be sent into an unfavorable direction, and lose momentum. If the killer player predicts a pallet camp or drop, if done right, Vecna can push a survivor away from the pallet right before they are able to interact with it. This may be hard to envision at first, but to compare to something we have in the game, imagine a survivor who lands from a height. When they land, their momentum stops, and they must regain that speed. Vecna's telekinetic blast would have a similar effect after hitting a survivor. However, balanced landing doesn't trigger in this instance. Telekinetic blast does not do damage at first, but with Vecna's second ability, Vecna's lethality will gradually increase. Vecna's Curse. Vecna's Curse is represented in the HUD as the face of a grandfather clock. Vecna's Curse charge meter increases by successfully hitting survivors with telekinetic blast. It takes around 20 successful blasts to fully charge Curse. Once fully charged, pressing the ability button 2 activates Vecna's Curse. Upon activation, the sound of a grandfather clock will fill the trial and Vecna becomes undetectable. The map will appear red, like Vecna's mindscape in the show, and much like Nightfall from the Dredge, Vecna's Curse lasts 60 seconds at base kit. While Curse is active, Telekinetic Blast becomes more potent, more lethal, and quicker to use. It mostly functions the same, but will now send survivors flying at breakneck speeds and over a much further distance. Upon colliding with the environment or another survivor, the survivor's hit will lose a health state, similar to being thrown by Wesker. While using Telekinetic Blast while Curse is active, will slowly build another meter, an overcharge meter if you will. For every 4 hits dealt to survivors with Telekinetic Blast while Vecna's Curse is active, the duration of Vecna's Curse will be extended by 10 seconds, up to a maximum of 90 seconds. If Vecna reaches the maximum duration extension for the remaining duration of Vecna's Curse, Telekinetic Blast will increase in speed and have a shortened cooldown, and will deal damage upon hitting the survivor regardless whether or not the survivor collides with anything when thrown. After Vecna's Curse ends, the charge is reduced to 0 and Vecna will have to rebuild that meter once again. This power introduces a new mechanic, a killer power that literally disrupts the survivor's pathing and movement. This ability gets stronger the more it is successfully used. Skilled players who are able to consistently use Telekinetic Blast will be rewarded with the increased lethality of the ability. During the early game, Vecna's power is capable of improving his chase by sabotaging the survivor's movements. Some more applications in a match would include, if a survivor chooses to just pre-drop pallets, Telekinetic Blast reaches through obstacles, meaning that Vecna can still delay the survivor's escape after dropping a pallet, allowing him to catch up quicker. While approaching a structure, if the survivor is about to reach a pallet, Vecna can use a well-timed and well-aimed Telekinetic Blast to shift a survivor off course, allowing him to get the hit. And that basically sums up my idea. I think the concept is very simple compared to other concepts I saw on YouTube, but I think the more simple ideas lead to a better balanced killer if done correctly. I'm not sure if the ability seems too weak or too strong, but if it needed a nerf, I would propose to shorten the distance the survivor is propelled or lessen the influence Telekinetic Blast has on the survivor's movement. I think a lot of fans wanted music and the Walkman to be part of the killer's power, where survivors could use them to help fight off Vecna. I wasn't too sure how to incorporate the Walkman, so I decided not to squeeze it into this killer concept, but I could see it working in a different concept maybe. Like my other videos, I didn't really come up with any perks or add-ons as they are not really my specialty, so I will leave that up to the comment section. As for the M1 weapon, I think Vecna could use a force push-like attack, similar to Sadako's Kanji M1 attack. If not, then I think just an upside-down tendril tentacle thing would be cool. As for cosmetics, the only cosmetic I can see working is Vecna before he has entered the upside down. Besides that, they could maybe give him original outfits, maybe similar to the ones that Demogorgon has. And finally, for his Mori, it's pretty obvious, but Chrissy's death from Season 4 is just a no-brainer. Obviously, the scene with Max is iconic, so I think that kill works for Vecna's Mori. But that brings me to the end, and again, thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below your ideas and how you could improve mine. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. The next killer concept will be a character who has already fought someone who is in the fog. So I'm sure that could be a few different characters. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.